When I was a kid, I used to listen to the old folks and some of the things they said, and one of the stories I never forgot was that deal about that murder, that killing out there at Camp Marib, up in that there holler by the spring house. Never thought much about it till one day went up there, walked up that little holler road and kind of took that little split to the left, and we got up there and sure enough there it was, a cliff overhang. I'm almost sure they were oak slats that they had cut and lined in there. They had a little door made, and the boy with me looked at me and he said, "That's where it happened, right there." And I said, "You got to be kidding me." And he said, "No, right there." So we got up and we peered in that door. Now the door was broken. One of the hasp and the hinge on one end was kind of off, leaning kind of out toward the west, and we just pushed it back a little bit, and sure enough, there was the table that nobody knew the gun was hidden under. 'Cause they said the old man that owned the place, when they went up there to play poker, always sat on that west side. Sit on the west side so in that late evening sun he could catch the eyes of the guys he was playing with, and he knew a little more about what they was holding. Well, sure enough, right in the middle of that poker game, that old feller and those two boys from over in town that he had brought out there to play, he saw the shift of the eye, and he realized he was cheating him. And man, as fast as a rattlesnake strikes, pam, pam! They said they killed him. One right in the square of the chest, and the other right up underneath the chin. Said the old man's head flicked backwards, that young man's head flipped backwards, and man, blood stains all over the side of that little old crevasse. And sure enough, they're still there. The old boy with me said, "Let's get out of here." And I said, "Let's do that." We were walking down the road, and we ran to this old man. I'm telling you, he was half crazy. He looked like he was old as a bat then. Rumor has it, he still lives up in them hollers there somewhere. And I'm going to tell you something. He looked at me and he said, "Do you boys knows where you been?" And I said, "Yes, sir. We've been up to that rock outcropping where the oak slats and the door and the table and the blood stains on the wall." And he says, "Do you know the rest of that story?" I said, "No, sir, I don't." Well, the old man told me that how all that worked out was that he looked at that other boy he didn't shoot, and he said, "I don't think you was cheating, but he was, and I don't like cheaters." And the old man that he's playing there with looked at him and said, "No, sir, I think you proved that right well." And he said, "But now I tell you what, I'm not afraid of killing another man. And if I ever hear a peep or word of you telling anybody what you witnessed, you'll be the last story you ever tell. So you're going to help me get rid of him." And the old man, eyes as big as the size of saucers, and his chin began quivering a little bit, and his hands got to shaking, and he said they drug him out of that, drug him down this road, and the old man who had the place set up to play poker in had a hay wagon down there, and they throwed him right up there in the back of that hay wagon and covered him up with hay. After they got a couple of good loads on top of him, man threw 8 old car tires on top of him to hold the hay down, and then put more hay on it, hitched up his old horses, and would you believe they carried that man right out of this holler, right down that road, right up that old highway 100 there, and they carried him right through Centerville, right there in the back of that wagon. That old horse just clippity-clopping, and one man getting it along, and the other man sitting there white as a ghost, shaking like a leaf on a winter tree, the last one to let go. Off the hill they went. They drove down, went past where the radio station is now, used to not be there, and rode up there, went up on top of that hill out that road toward Swan Creek. They went out that road, somebody said about 1,000 feet. Turned out on a ridge, went out on that ridge road. They started unloading that hay. Then they unloaded those tars. Then they unloaded that old boy they killed. They took that old boy and they stuck those tars around him like a man would wear a hula hoop, but put all 8 of them on him in the middle of them, covered it with a little kerosene, threw all that hay on there and set on fire, and they left out of there. Sure enough, a few days later, they found that set of bones and those old worn-out tires. Said had it not been for Doc Elrod, nobody'd ever knowed who it was. Once they got old Doc Elrod in on it, and he found a broken place in an arm, he went back in his x-rays and found another set of x-rays that matched that old man's arm, and he'd been missing 4 or 5 days, and Doc solved that problem, but turned out pretty well, I guess. I reckon they still fried him. put him in the chair for murder. I don't know how true that is. I'm just telling you. That's how it was always told me.